So this is a deep, dark video. So I want to forewarn it is very disturbing on all sides. So, and there's going to be some extra commentary. I personally am getting roped into controversies where I do have a personal stake. I do know certain things, and given what's happened, I don't think I could responsibly ignore the larger issue. So, Jonathan Joss, who was on King of the Hill playing Redcorn, is dead. He died a day ago, at least officially, and apparently he was shot to death by a neighbor. And this is the information we have at the moment. The suspect is 56-year-old Sigfredo Alvarez Ceja, and a photo has been released, so it does look like, I would assume the obvious, this is a Hispanic male. So it's not some white Aryan white nationalist. However, this is alarmingly fitting a larger pattern where somebody who identified as trans in Nashville was violently assaulted. So it's hard to ignore the obvious here that, and again, this hasn't been empirically verified, that just with Trump in office, there just has been, there was before, a huge rise in hate crimes. Just what the record shows, and unfortunately, this seems to fit the pattern. But again, this is a suspect. These are allegations. We're going to have to wait for more information. But Joss's husband came out. Family released official statements, and apparently this has been an ongoing problem. They alerted the police many times. Apparently, they were in the process of moving out because the police weren't doing anything. A family pet was apparently even killed, and the skull of this pet was given to the family to intimidate them. So it just looks very awful all around and is very sad. Now, I am not a King of the Hill fanatic. I watch the episodes here and there. I always find it consistently funny. I've seen tons of clips, so it's not due to the quality. I just never really got into it. It is, however, deep, dark irony, and I should say the creators, including Mike Judd, also released a statement about how sad they are that about this passing. But it's definitely bizarre because King of the Hill is very not politically correct. They are clearly making fun of everyone and do take, yes, many shots at racists and homophobes, but they do laugh at themselves as well. So it's a very interesting show, and the humor is pretty adult, but it is clearly made for a young audience. It's a very weird show, as you expect from Mike Judd, who also made Beavis for MTV. So very interesting background with Mike Judd. He also did that really great bizarre movie, Office Space. So very interesting creator. But I don't think we can put off the inevitable that we're just stuck because Tristan Kern Gonzalez, Joss's husband, has stated clearly they feel this is a homophobic incident. They are saying just for several years this person was acting in a very disturbed manner, burning property, threatening them. So is this someone who's literally crazy, mentally unstable, and or they're crazy because they're homophobic, and or they are homophobic and crazy at the same time? Again, we just don't know for now, so hopefully we'll get more information carefully and we'll proceed cautiously. But I think for now it is valid to label this a hate crime, and that Jonathan, by all accounts, a good guy, did a lot of good work in Hollywood, is the victim of a hate crime. And there we are. And obviously it'd be nice to just reflect on his artistic work and comment on his purely professional work as a performer, but we do have this larger environment of, well, hatred and bigotry, and we just can't ignore the obvious with Trump and Maga. It's just there. It would be irresponsible to note the obvious that, and the Texas police saying, well, we just didn't find any indication of homophobia, could just tell us that, yeah, the Texas police are just very corrupt and are, at the very best, not taking these things serious. So I just want to do one direct comment on Nerdrotics, who's now in Texas, where he probably identifies as being in. And it may shock people. I actually agree with Nerdrotics a lot in terms of, quote, the woke going to such an extreme. However, where I differ from Gary, Nerdrotics, who is, well, being nice, former drug dealer and burglar. So, yes, this guy's a convicted felon, a thief, and a drug dealer. And even proudly puts this out in his tweets saying, oh, I used to deal with a lot of drugs. Meth was his usual trade. And now he's putting out this very sham kind of podcast, YouTube channel, where you see it for yourself, while being a racist and putting out hate propaganda. He has an Asian woman there to help him out. Gary had a former relationship with an Asian woman who was his wife for a time. So this is a man who has had an interracial marriage, and routinely, it's not once or a while, he routinely helps platform racists, white nationalists, extremists, and fascists. And this is not disputable. In fact, in one case, he had the Proud Boys, one of their leading leaders, come on, and I am not joking with you. He decided to get up and unzip his pants. Now, some people are saying this is a joke. That was not really his actual member. But even if it was just a wild joke, it was in the midst of his usual pro-fascist rhetoric. So that's what you're getting with Nerdrotics. Not just fascist propaganda and rhetoric, but a very R-rated version of propaganda as well. And there we are. Oh, he likes to moralize the country's in decline. MAGA's great. We're really getting back somewhere with Scientology propaganda by Tom Cruise. But, the wokos are keeping us back. And so on and so forth, and we need to blame the gay black communists. Yada, 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 yada. So what's my personal stake in all this? Well, it's not Gary, but I met another pro-Nazi, well, several pro-Nazis. And, well, they did a lot of things. They falsely accused me of certain things and were lying about me. But beyond that, they were trying to excuse the pro-Nazism and pro-racism because, well, listen, let's concentrate on these grifters. Let's just shut up. Let's just, not to really talk about that because who cares? Who cares about the Nazis? Who cares about the racists? Okay, yeah, we can take that flippant attitude, but then when these things happen, we're like, so what? And I double checked this person's channel, of course, nothing about this. So good faith, it does appear that Marilyn, who's the real target here, and other people are just cynically pushing out fascist, racist rhetoric and propaganda, and when it has consequences that are devastating, like this case, they just don't say anything. And Marilyn in particular is really in the hot seat because she proclaims herself to be very pro-gay. She's very pro-gay, guys. She's very pro-gay. The pro-gay and pro-Nazism might seem a contradiction, but, that's just Marilyn. So if she is really pro-gay, Jonathan is gay. Presumably she's going to do something for the family because her channel is twice the size of mine, and she seems to have at least hundreds or more channel members, which I do not at the moment, but please become a channel member and help support this channel. So the heat is on whether her pro-Nazism, pro-racism, and pro-gayness can come together and resolve itself. I don't think it can, just like Gary, who likes to mention, oh, I have a biracial child, which should be a source of shame that he's actually putting out pro-Nazi propaganda, right? That should be a source of shame, but it's not, because, he's Gary. And now he's working with a black racist to tell his life story in a ghostwritten memoir. I am not joking with you. That has happened. So you get it online, you're going to get a lot of grifters. And I've been accused of the charge. And I will just say, someone asked me about Gary and think, why are you calling him pro-Nazi? Because he is pro-Nazi, right? And they said, well, I Googled it. I didn't find that. Well, that's because you need to do this thing called the research. But for the record, Gary is helping the Nazis, the fascists, the racists, and he's even helping out some predators because he's also platformed Mahler, who's actively protecting Chaseface. And at least one of his female victims, though he has several victims, one of the female victims spoke out, and Mahler basically gaslit his audience and tried to destroy her reputation. That's the kind of thing that Nerdrotic puts out. He puts out pro-predator, pro-fascist, pro-Nazi propaganda. But I'm the bad guy for labeling these people Nazis and predators. I'm the bad guy in this drama. Okay, but for the record, you can look at my whole record. You're not going to find me doing pro-predator, pro-Nazi propaganda. So many things can be true, many things can be false. You're not going to find anything like that. That's not going to happen at all. Quite the contrary. And I'm also not stupid. If you're nostalgic for America going back 100 or 200 years when we had outright slavery and lynchings were normal, and obviously there was no gay rights, I'm going to be a little suspicious that you're not pro-racist or pro-Nazi. And if Marilyn just tries to cover up with the gay, as she does, that makes her pretty awful. And I'm sure Nerdrotics is going to do the same trick. He's going to platform a gay. He's already done that technically with Rags, another member of Mahler's pro-predator crew. And I guess we're going to play that game too. Although, just to end this nightmare drama, Rags is white. He's not some multiracial bisexual person. But anyway, that's the game to be played. You're just going to find a gay black man, or in this case, Marilyn, a cult survivor, and declare your pro-Nazism good. And that's where we are. But pro-Nazism does have a cost. Now, we're going to have to wait and see whether This is much darker and deeper. Was this Hispanic man part of some hate group, part of some organized Maga group? Don't know, let's be fair. But this is an alarming pattern of the alt-right having black and Hispanic members, but dedicated to white nationalism. And the white nationalism is not this fuzzy philosophical discussion about Mein Kampf. It is about hurting and repressing people. It is. That's our reality. You can either face up to it or play silly online tricks and pretend to be doing something. But really, we're not doing anything.